Good morning, welcome to Good Morning East Africa. My name is Felix, Aloice, Rajwai. I'm joined by my co-host,
Abdullahi Hassan.
Please, I need to say Palastro.
No, you can say that.
No, Abdullahi Hassan Palastro.
Well,
Do you know why I love the word Palastro?
No, why?
It sounds unique.
Yeah, of course it's unique. It's not Somali.
For our morning conversation.
Okay, you don't have to be unique for a morning conversation.
We are too much to yourself. Come on. You're forgetting that you have the one hiker in our studio. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Pleasure to be here with you.
You know, so that you say, my name is Brian, like other guys will say, thank you, I am Brian. There's so much official, but you're too friendly, man.
Oh, well, I'm used to being here in East Africa now for a couple of months. People are very friendly with you, so I try to be friendly back to them.
Okay, once again, welcome to Hargeisa.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Somaliland.
Yes, sir.
How do you feel being in this awesome atmosphere?
Oh, it's a good place to be. Good place to visit. And I think the news would make you be afraid of going to new places, but I've had only good experiences here in Somaliland. So I look forward to sharing that. Friends, family, and students when I go back home.
Awesome. But did you hear that?
Yeah, of course I did. So among other experiences you will be sharing with people back home.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Let me handshake you. You know, most people fear coming to Africa, first of all.
Yes. Yeah.
The first time you told yourself, I'm going to Africa. What did you think, by the way?
For me, I try not to take the stereotypes and negative stories you hear on the news and not be ignorant, but go and experience for myself. So I try to push the bad stories behind and go see what it's like, because often when you get there, you meet kind people, you meet people that help you out. We're more similar than you think. And so I always look forward to going and seeing what it's like first person.
And what was that, the first time you decided to go to Africa?
First time I came 3 years ago, and I went to South Africa and Lesotho and Swaziland and Namibia and had a wonderful experience. So that gave me more encouragement to want to come back and visit East Africa, North Africa, and in the future West Africa as well.
Allow me to take you back a little bit. I just heard you saying that there are some negative stories people carried outside Africa. What are these stories, basically? Because really?
I think the news, anywhere you go, tends to focus on the negative stories because they seem more impressive, or they make people scared, they make people afraid. But I try to not listen to those stories as much if it's disease or if it's poverty or problems or safety, but you go and you experience it for yourself, because often when you go yourself, you find things are much better. People have more in common with you than you imagine before you come.
And you do go a lot. So how many countries have you been to so far?
I've been to 156 different countries. 156 countries.
Let me ask this, my friend. Okay, friend. How many countries have you visited? Be sincere to yourself, man.
Okay, let me try. Ethiopia, Somaliland, Bangladesh. That's only 3.
That's all 3.
Yeah.
Don't ask me because I can't answer that.
Okay.
Brian, what exactly did you see the need of coming to Africa most of the time? Because
I think there's many different cultures here. There's so many different languages. We look at Africa sometimes as if it was one country, but it's not. I believe there's 54 countries in Africa. Every country has different groups. If you go to Kenya, there's many different languages, many different mother tongues, and it's such a diverse, interesting continent to visit. I believe you could spend years and years coming back to different places in Africa and never be bored.
Just to make this guy a little homesick,
come on, don't
tell us about the awesomeness of Kenya.
Kenya, I loved it. I was in Kenya about 3 weeks ago and was volunteering at a school in Kitangela, about 40 miles or so from Nairobi, and the students were incredible, the staff was incredible. We ate ugali every day. It was a wonderful experience for me.
You know what this guy did to me the other day? He drove me around the market looking for ugali at 9 p.m.
Exactly, because I had missed ugali.
I understand.
That's a staple food in Kenya, man.
We eat ugali every day, maybe once a day, maybe twice a day.
Exactly.
Sometimes lunch and dinner, ugali.
Lunch and dinner.
Oh, of course.
Now, you talked about being in school. Now, that makes me ask, who's this Brian then?
I'm a teacher. I've been teaching for 5 years in California. I teach secondary school. I teach Spanish. And then before that, I taught abroad. I taught English to foreigners. So I lived in Brazil, Mexico, Colombia, and Bolivia. And people want to learn English everywhere. So you can find a job as an English teacher. And I loved it. So I've been teaching for 10 years since I graduated from university.
10 good years.
10 years teaching
English.
Yes, sir.
So
English for 5 and then Spanish for the last 5.
Spanish. Please teach us one Spanish name that I can tell this guy.
A name or a word? What would you like?
Word.
Let me get a name. A word, not a name. A word.
A word.
Yeah.
How about good morning? Good morning is
Good morning.
buenos dias.
Sorry?
Buenos.
Buenos.
Buenos
Dias.
dias.
Okay. I want to see if you can reply. Hi, brother. Buenos dias.
Buenos dias.
That's how you reply.
Nicely done. Good morning. Good morning. That works.
Now, do you know how to say good morning in Somali language?
In Somali, ooh, how do you say?
That would be subax wanaagsan.
Please slowly. This is not.
Subax wanaagsan. Subax
Sabah
wanaagsan.
walaksan.
That's
Sabah walaksan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Subah one accent.
How about Jambo?
You just said Jumbo.
What's that?
No, okay.
Jumbo is hi.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, how do you say hi?
Hi.
Hello. Like hello.
Skawaran.
Skawaran.
Skahoran.
That's how are you?
Okay.
How are you?
Skahoran.
Skawaran.
Okay. Nice.
No, okay.
Okay, let's not take this to class.
Many languages.
Now, Brad, you've been teaching English and Spanish.
Yes, sir.
And now you are in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe if we can ask you, just do you have a specific countries in Africa where you've taught or you're teaching English?
I volunteered in Kenya, which I really enjoyed in Kitangela. And whenever I can, I try to visit a school because I feel like schools are just so full of energy and life. If I can go for an hour or a day or a week or two, like in Kenya, I find that you're able to connect with the community, the children are wonderful. And if I could teach English, Spanish, geography, talk to them about culture from the US or from the West, then that's something I'm always happy to share about. So I love stopping in schools whenever I can.
So you've been traveling a lot.
Yes.
You've been to a lot of countries.
Yes, sir.
So what makes you travel?
Oh, for me, I just find it fascinating. My brother started helping me become curious in travel when I just finished university, and it just blew my mind. The perspective, the culture, the language, the food, everything's different. Every day is exciting. Some days at home you can get in a routine, and when every day is different and new and you wake up and you just have this adrenaline, I feel that every day when I'm in another country, and so you want to continue going. And it's like kind of a good drug.
There's no
people say.
routine at all when you are
No,
traveling.
it's exciting. Every day is new, questions, you don't know what's going to happen, and so I love it. Every day on the road is always different, unique, it's never the same.
Now, let's talk about culture here.
Sure.
What is the most fascinating culture that you've seen that you're like, what is this?
Oh, there's many. Every country is so unique. Like in
Maybe if you mention.
sure, like a couple.
Culture shock. That's something.
Culture
that-
shock.
Yeah, culture shock. Maybe.
Okay, I was mentioning a couple of countries earlier before we were on camera, but like Vanuatu and Papua New Guinea are two countries in the Pacific, and I went straight from California over, and they had these tribal ceremonies where they got dressed up in colorful clothing, and they sacrificed animals, and they had kind of men, or boys becoming men, and it was something unlike anything I had seen before. And it was all day, me, one other friend, and then all local people. And it's just so different than life in the States or life in California. It's just night and day difference. So yeah, the culture shock is sometimes amazing when you come from home and go to these other countries.
Yeah. What about the food? You know.
The food, I like trying everything. For me, I'm, I guess, pretty adventurous, but my mother told me, don't be picky, eat everything, be grateful, and that helps me out now that I'm on the road. If it's
I think
ugali,
somebody, this friend of mine.
Yeah.
This guy eats everything.
you have to, when you travel, if you're picky, life's not going to be easy for you. So you have to experiment things, and food is part of the culture and part of kind of the tradition of the country. So I try to eat local food everywhere I go. It's always fun.
You've eaten here something that was very special. That was told it was for only grooms.
Oh, only for grooms yesterday. Yeah, we tried like the fruit salad with the fruit juice in it. And he was saying it's like a typical meal that you would eat for grooms. What's the name of it?
That's Aloice, and it is Yemeni.
Hares, okay.
It's so sweet, right?
It was very sweet. It was delicious. Yes, I liked it.
Talking of him eating here, how long have you been in Hargeisa?
Only a couple of days, yeah, just short visits. And so I try to learn and see as much as I can in a short period of time often.
You know, when you tell somebody, maybe abroad, and your friend or your neighbor, you tell him that I'm in Somaliland, what is the first picture that comes up to them?
People think of Somalia and they think of the news and they think of an area that's very dangerous or maybe in war. And so if someone knows their geography, they know that Somaliland is different than Somalia. Otherwise, people tend to be afraid, which is sometimes why I tell them after I visit, not before I visit, so they don't have any misconceptions of the place. And so they're not afraid or nervous for me.
So do you often travel by yourself?
Yes.
Only you.
All the time. Yeah, I'd say I go with a friend.
You're too mean, man. That's too mean. I think just travel alone.
You meet wonderful people. I wouldn't be here with you today if I was traveling with friends or family. because I wouldn't meet local people. I wouldn't be here. I would be only speaking English with my friends, and I would never meet local people. I wouldn't be here if I traveled.
The company may limit you when you are traveling.
Yeah. For good, it gives you comfort, which is good. It makes you feel like you have a partner or a group, but you don't meet that many local people because you're in your bubble with your group of friends or your one friend or two friends. So travel with a group of people is very different than going by yourself. Very different.
And now you landed to a very new, fantastic land called Somaliland. What is this thing that makes you feel like I should stay here for another week?
I think the people are very friendly. When you walk around, the food, just the markets here, the life feels very different. And I'd say the people, almost anywhere you go, it's what makes you feel welcome, what makes you feel like you want to stay more. It's not as dangerous or maybe what the news had said. And so walking around the town here, I felt fine. And the people want to get to know you. They take an interest, they ask you questions, they want to help you, they want to have you try their food. And so it's been very welcoming so far.
So if you're given a chance to tell guys who are maybe in Canada or in another place in UK that Somaliland is something that is, I don't know what name to use, like it's a place where it's far beyond what you're thinking of. What you really, some words that you tell them to affirm that Somaliland is a place to be.
It's a place to be. Every country is unique. Every region has something to see, and it's a part of the world not many tourists come to, and that makes me feel special when I come, because when I walk around the streets, you don't see very many foreigners. I like that. It's authentic, it's real. It's not crowded, you're not on a tourist track following people on a tour. Like, it's real. It's an authentic place that you can feel what it's like, and there's not many visitors here. So I like that.
A lot of travelers say that the most interesting thing about a place is its people. And that's very different from the tourists that go for another places for the staff and the places to visit. How does that come about?
The people, I think your main memories of a place are maybe the attractions, if it's animals or a museum or a building, but usually your interactions with people is what really sticks in your head, right? Because you take a picture of a building, okay, it's a building. Yeah. You eat this dish, okay, it's a dish of food. But usually what you remember days or weeks later is your overall impression, and that's created by your interactions and your communication with the people there. And when they treat you kindly, when they welcome you, when they teach you about their country, that's really what, when you're speaking with someone down there, how do I remember Somaliland? It's my impression of how I was here with the people. And so that's really what stays with you, to me, when you're thinking about it down the road.
Have you visited any school here in Hargeisa?
I have not been to a school yet. I would like to. I always enjoy visiting it. So if you have a recommendation, or maybe tomorrow I can stop by a school, it's always interesting for me to see the kids. I think kids are so kind and pure, generous, full of energy, everywhere you go. Kids are friendly, they don't judge you, they don't think of you as a foreigner or a stranger, they treat you just like one of them almost, and so they're always interested, and I love visiting with kids.
So far, where have you been to in Hargeisa or in Somaliland in general?
So I've been here in the city, and then today we went out to the cliff paintings, which are called Las Gel. Am I saying that right? Las Gel. And so we went out there today and visited, which was interesting. And it's always nice to get out of the big city and see what the rural areas are like and how the other people live. So that's part of the reason why it's nice to go out and see what some of the villages look like.
Okay, let's now try and get a little bit professional. Huh?
Sure.
You're a teacher.
Yes.
What is the core main value of teaching English? Because some people say, come on, we know our language. It drives us, we do our exchange with our language. We intermarry within ourselves and we're okay with our language. Is it a must for me to know English?
I think in other countries, like, you've learned English. A lot of us, English wasn't our first language. For me, it was, thankfully. It gives you access to jobs, to career opportunities. I've taught people who wanted to work in companies where they had to speak English. I've taught people who wanted to travel and speak English, people who wanted to understand TV, music, movies, who had relatives that lived in the US or Canada or England. If you go to another country, like I've been to now 156 countries, people speak English everywhere. And so you're able to connect with people, and you can't travel unless you speak English. It's difficult, because English is the world language. When you go places, there's always someone who speaks some English. And so it really opens a lot of doors for you. And I've taught thousands of people who, for one of these reasons, or maybe multiple reasons, have wanted to learn English. And for me, it's just a pleasure to be able to help them and see their opportunities grow when they become more confident in English.
Wow, man. When did you learn English, Bede?
When I was in middle school.
Middle school? How did you feel?
Well, it just felt like another language. I was already learning Arabic. I was fluent in Arabic by the time. So then I was another language to add to my resume or something, or to be able to converse with other people.
Exactly. Now, let's talk.
And your English is very good, by the way, so good job.
Thank you very much.
Well done.
Thumbs up, man. Now, let's compare the schools
Sure.
from your place and in Africa.
Mhm.
What are some of the things you saw and you're like, maybe this has to be improved, or the way you're teaching, maybe the verbs, I can only remember the verb and the noun, other stuff.
Do you want me to talk more about like the differences with the schools in the US
Yes,
versus in
yes,
Kenya
yes,
or
yeah.
East Africa,
East
for
Africa.
example? Sure. Oh, it's very different. I was very impressed at the school in Kitangela in Kenya because they started at 7:30 in the morning, all the students arrive. And then they stayed, the older ones, until about 6 p.m. My students at 3 p.m., sometimes they're sprinting out the door. Like they are so ready to be done with school. And in Kenya, at 5:45, when school is finished, they had questions and they didn't want to leave. And they wanted to ask me more questions. They wanted to stay at school, and they were just so dedicated to their studies. Like it was a privilege to be in school. And I feel like the teachers and the parents really had them motivated to be there at school. And I think in the US we have a lot of good students too, and some people sometimes take it for granted that they have school or education. And I felt like in Kenya they really value the education. So many Americans do too, but I think in Kenya I really felt that in a strong way. The uniforms are different. Like the order in the school is very different. The food that everyone gets fed, 400 students get fed ugali at lunch together. They have their porridge break and they have their tea break. Is very different. In the US, we have like fast foods. They can buy pizza or hamburgers or Chinese food at lunch.
Is that why you get the stereotype of American, the fried American? Sorry to say that.
Yeah, there's many of those options. I like bring my lunch when I was a student. I always brought my lunch to school. We don't wear uniforms at our school. Everyone can wear what they want. No, they don't wear uniforms at school. It's free dress. There's a dress code, but it's pretty liberal for what they can wear. I teach at a school of 2,000 students. Almost 2,000 students. So it's a big campus. The campus is huge, right? We have football fields, basketball courts, swimming pools, tennis courts. There's a lot of room where the areas are smaller here. After school at 3 o'clock, many of my students go play sports after school, and they stay till 5 or 6 o'clock, and volleyball, baseball, softball, basketball, swimming, rugby, water polo,
So a lot of sports
many
in
track and
school.
field, many sports after school. And so it's different. It's definitely a different feel. Both systems, I feel like, are educating the students well from what I saw in Kenya. And the schools in the U.S. are often good schools as well. And I teach at a good school in Sacramento, California. So many things in common, but there are some definite differences as well.
To come back to traveling, because I'm very interested in that.
But you never get us out of Hargeisa. It's just around Hargeisa. Why don't you go out, man?
Actually, I
I think you
got
should link up. Okay,
No,
yes,
this guy is veteran. I cannot link up to him.
He's a veteran. No,
Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of people have the bug to travel, like they like traveling, but they don't nurse it, they don't do it. So what advice would you tell them?
I think people are afraid. I think that's the number one reason, is the first step. I have many friends at home. I wish I traveled, but ... right? And often the but is because they're afraid or they're unsure. It's the unknown. There's lots of questions. I think you have to go. Just go once. The first step. Just if it's to visit a friend, visit family, go by yourself, go with someone, but just go. Travel once. And if you like it, like me, you may continue and want to do it your whole life. And a lot of people get the travel bug, we call it. Like once it's in you, you don't want to stop because it's so interesting. You don't want to stop. It's a habit, and you want to plan and save and prepare your holidays so you can go. But I think the main roadblock is people's fear or ignorance. They think, no, I'll stay here where I'm safe, in my comfort zone, where I speak English, where I use my own currency, where I know people, where I know what the stores are. I don't know how it will be when I go to England, Spain, Kenya, Mexico, whatever country it is, and people put up a wall and they say, no, I'm a little bit afraid. I'll just stay here.
So far we are being the positives. Are there any horror stories you are not telling us?
Negatives? They're hard days. Believe me, it's difficult when you're waiting and you're in buses or vans crammed in with people and local transportation, right? And you're waiting, like crossing the border a couple of weeks ago to Burundi, right? And people are there and they want to charge you more money. as a tourist or you're a Mzungu, and so they have
Yeah,
Mzungu price and then local price, and you're trying to not be taken advantage of, you know. So there's long days, there's days where things are late or transportation's difficult, where there's many people and it's hot and you're sweating. People see your pictures on Facebook or Instagram and think it's all magical and wonderful.
Yeah,
wow, look at the
because you
pictures,
never record the negative
the highlights, but they don't see
behind
the
scenes.
20 hours of work and travel and sweat that went into those 2 or 3 hours of being there at the school or on safari or, you know, visiting this place. So they don't see the other hours, which are challenging. So yeah, no, there's many challenges along the way. It's not easy. Definitely not easy.
Now, because you've at least traveled in Hargeisa, I'm sure you've taken some pictures, some videos. What are these things that you're going now to post to us onto your YouTube platform? So tomorrow or the next day we'll be there searching.
Well, first off, I'm behind because when you travel, it's difficult to make your videos fast. Internet connection, finding a song that's appropriate. But I try to be respectful as well, which is difficult. When you come to a place like Hargeisa, if I don't know people, and if many people are Muslim or women, you want to be cautious when you take pictures or videos. So, you know, sometimes it's more difficult as a foreigner because you don't know people. But I try the mosques, the streets, the markets, what people are selling, maybe the food. If you get to know people, then you can include them in your video or your photos. But it's that balance of like capturing a place, but also being respectful at the same time. And I try not to offend people. So that's a balance that I try to keep.
It's very important. If you're advised to bring a family in Hargeisa, will you do that?
To bring my family?
Yeah. That is, if you have a family, maybe your dad, your mom, or your friend.
So my family doesn't travel too much. It usually is me that's traveling. So my family tends to be more in the US and they stay there. That's not that they dislike it as much, it's just they're more traditional or, you know, stay home a little bit more. I would have no problem bringing them places with me, but they are more homebodies, we say. So there are more people that stay at home and they learn about where I go, study, read about it. They support me, but they tend to let me do the traveling and they stay more at home.
So in the US.
They see me out there doing it and they're happy to live.
You're doing
exactly.
Happy, that's fine.
They live, we say, like vicariously through me. They're happy to have me travel and visit places and then be at home and watch how it is and support me from home.
Now, more than 100, now to 156 countries. So this is the 156?
I believe, yes.
156 country.
Yes, yeah.
What's the goal then?
What's the goal? My goal is to visit every country in the world, and there's 193 countries that are recognized by United Nations and then 4 observing countries, so 197 is the total that I'm using. And so my goal is to visit all 197 countries in the whole world. So I have 41 countries left to visit. And I hope before I go back for the next school year in July that I can visit another 15, 20 maybe-ish countries, mostly in Africa, and then I can have 20 countries left that I can continue to visit over the next few school years, and then hopefully finish visiting every country in the world in the next 2 or 3 years would be wonderful.
How long has it taken you to travel to all these countries?
These countries. So when I was 21, I graduated from university, and then I moved to Mexico. So that was really the first experience abroad, second or third country after Canada and Costa Rica. So it's been 12 years, because I'm 33 now. So in the last 12 years, I've been living abroad or living in the States and traveling extensively. So about 12 years.
Wow. I think we can discuss this even at the backstage. Because, you know what? He has a lot. And we need to show him Hargeisa. I think you better be in the street because you might spot us somewhere. Maybe having a drink, right? Or eating, what do you call it?
Harais.
Harais. Or eating harais. But again, the last question
yes.
I ask you. So people say that I will travel, I will go and excavate and go geographically when maybe I'm at a retirement age. But you're still young like us. Yeah? Still, what's this? Why? What's your advice to them?
Sure. My advice is don't postpone your dreams. If you have things that you really want to do them now. The future isn't always certain. If maybe I won't want to travel, maybe things will change, maybe I'll have a family, maybe I'll have different priorities. And if you have things that you're really determined to do, make a priority of them and do them sooner. Because we're not sure how long we'll be on this earth. We're not exactly sure what the future will bring, and many people never get to doing their dreams or accomplishing what they really want to do. And so for me, I try to do things and prioritize them and do them now, inspire other people, my students, people our age, to go do them. And I would say not postpone your dreams or things that you really want to do in your life, and to go after them today and do them now.
You know what? I think we better be like your family, where we'll follow you to see what you're doing. So please give us your YouTube account, your Facebook account, if you have an Instagram account. We want to see what you're doing. Yeah?
Sure, yes. On YouTube, I make videos from a lot of the countries I go to. It's called The World Hiker. The World Hiker is the YouTube channel. On Facebook, it's The World Hiker as well. On Instagram, it's The World Hiker .Asher, which is my last name. Mr. Asher is what my students call me. And so you can find me there, and I love sharing about travel, and it's one of my favorite things to talk about.
Brian Asher, thank you, man.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Please
Thank
check
you
this
very
out.
much,
Thank you
Mr.
very much.
Asher.
I'm connecting you guys. I'm connecting you.
Welcome back.
Thank you guys. That's how we leave it up here at Good Morning East Africa. Please catch us up again backstage. Brian Asher.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
See you next time.